I grew up with the OJ story, and the Bronco chase was watched by like 95 million people live. About 7 years ago, a producer came to me and said, I want you to look at a project that I have. I'd like you to help me. And he said, it's about OJ Simpson. Thought it was interesting. And he said, well, this guy Charlie was with OJ at the murders. Okay. Then I see that OJ wrote a book called If I Did It in chapter 6. He says he had an accomplice named Charlie. And he did an interview with Judith Regan on Fox that they shelved for 12 years and said he had an accomplice named Charlie. Then I finally get to meet Charlie. He doesn't want to say too much about the murders. So let me say that because people always ask me this. He made a tape and he wrote a screenplay. Those producers have that. I have segments and pieces of that. Okay. And not many people have ever heard that tape. And it's a shame. And I've asked them to come forward. I've tried many times and they won't come forward. So I decided to whistleblow on them.
Well, I mean, they wanted a movie made anyway.
Right, but they told it in a way that you didn't think he murdered somebody. They just told it like, oh, he rode with OJ in the Bronco. Oh, he witnessed it and he didn't talk because he thought OJ would kill him or Joey Ippolito would have him murdered.
Okay, so lay it on me.
Sure, the story of how the murders take place.
Yeah,
sure.
Like well, and the involvement of the involvement of the mob, Charlie, go back. Like I mean, we can build up to the night, but how do these guys? How does he know OJ? How does he?
Yep.
How does that tie in with the mob?
So from my investigation, from my journey, this is my postulation theory. Okay, I opine because what they told me in the beginning, I found out was not really the story. So I had to piece it together for myself. I didn't know Charlie was mafia at all. At all. They didn't tell me that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So basically this is how it goes. OJ Simpson, even since the 70s, was a cocaine user. And the NFL guys, a lot of the NFL guys and the NBA guys, they use drugs, prostitutes. Guess who runs all that? The mafia. Okay. Where did OJ play ball? Buffalo, New York. Where was one of the largest mafia families? Buffalo, New York. Okay. So he had ties early on in the cocaine trade game, the restaurant game. I had people came forward. I saw OJ at the restaurant. That mob guy was the biggest mob guy anywhere. Everybody feared him. There was OJ at his place. So it goes way back that he was dabbling in this for a long time. Okay. Bringing us to the murders and Joey Ippolito. When OJ Simpson met Joey Ippolito, it's really hard for me to confirm. I thought he met Joey in the early 90s. I have other sources saying he knew him in the 80s. Okay. During the cocaine cowboys, the drug smuggling, the boats, the race. That's all Sal Magluta, John Riccobono, all that's tied to Joey Ippolito and Meyer Lansky. Anyway, so I have pictures of OJ buying a boat from a coke smuggler. I have the photo with Nicole in it. Why does he know these people? Why? So my point is, so Joey Ippolito is a major drug trafficker and killer. Okay. He is friends with OJ, and then Al Cowlings also is his bodyguard and his driver. That's published reports online. You can find it yourself. Okay. So AC, we call him AC, is most likely dealing cocaine with Joey Ippolito and OJ Simpson. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in 1994 is when I believe Charlie Ehrlich met OJ Simpson through Joey Ippolito. Charlie was in jail for 7 years. So for the 7 years from 87 to 94, 87 to 93, I think he gets out in 93. He tries to say he's in jail in 94 because they're trying to button it up so close you can't vet him. Like, was he in jail in 94? It's fascinating how he does it. The mob guys are geniuses with keeping you guessing, keeping up the smoke screen. They invented this. What you did is fascinating. How they did it, they invented what you do. Okay?
Okay.
So Charlie meets OJ. He's only known him for 3 months. They're running drugs. They're doing probably girls. There's point shaving supposedly with NFL games that OJ's lining up. There's a big gambling racket that somehow Rob Kardashian gets involved in with Ippolito, Al Cowlings gets tied up, and they think it's Al Cowlings and Ippolito. I'm not sure if Kardashian was fully tied to that, but I think there's definitely some mob ties with Robert Kardashian Sr., I'll say that, and Russian Mafia. And so Ehrlich meets OJ in the screenplay, and on the tape, they talk about how they met. They meet at Rockingham. AC's actually there. Hey, man, I'm OJ. Hey, I'm AC. Hey, guys, I want you to meet my guy. This is Charlie Ehrlich. Because he's his ghost. He's his drug dealer. He's the transporter. He's transporting the drugs from Miami to L.A. And he's bringing them to Joey. Joey's living in L.A. at this time. Okay, he moved to L.A. in, I think, 1988. So he'd been there about 4 years. Okay, all the drugs are coming from Miami. That's where the coke comes from. It can come up from Mexico too, and I have proof of something from there, but a lot of it's Miami. Okay, so getting close to the murders now, to June 12th. Joey Ippolito, I opine, tells Charlie Ehrlich to extort O.J. Simpson. When I use the word extortion, I don't mean it's a drug debt that O.J. Circle, Faye, Nicole, Keith Z, they're all involved somehow. Okay? Joey Ippolito had extorted a lot of people before. His own brothers didn't trust him. I know them. Okay?
So you're saying that OJ ran up a debt?
It's an extortion. It's an extortion. It's a setup to get money out of OJ. Joey's flipping him. Like, all right, so when Charlie goes to Rockingham at about 10 o'clock on June 12th, on Sunday night, he says, we got to get that money. What he means is Joey wants his money from either you, Nicole, Faye, Keith, the Mezzaluna kids, whoever it is. We've been dealing you, right? Puro cocaine, fronting you some of it. This is where all the conspiracy theories come in with. Ron Goldman was a dealer. Nicole was dealing. They got crossed up with drug dealers. It's partly true. That's the fascinating part of the urban legend. They were killed by Colombian drug hitmen. It's partly true. Right? Where did they get from Colombia? It's fascinating. So Ehrlich says to OJ, we need to get that money. I have bosses. You have bosses. They just want their money. Why are you squeezing me? OJ gets defensive. What's going on? What are you doing? I just saw Joey. Because Joey would flip you. The mob guys don't have allegiance to you. Okay? That's their thing. Extortion, right? Prostitution, gambling, contraband. They don't play by the rules. There's no rules. Where's OJ going to run to? You don't think Joey knows that? Where's he going to go? Was he going to go tell the cops he owes him $50,000 in coke money? Where's Nicole going to go? There's nowhere to go.
Right.
OJ freaks out. They talk about it in the screenplay. They talk about it in the tape. He flips out. We're going to Nicole's. We're putting it on her. Her and Faye Resnick. Faye was living with Nicole at the time. They don't know that she's in rehab. They think she's there. When they show up, Faye Resnick's out there. Ron Goldman's there at the gate. Okay. Now, as if Ron Goldman's already there, or there's two versions, I wasn't there. I can't, in the way Charlie tells the story, I can't 100% say, was Goldman already there out front with Nicole talking by the front gate? Or did he arrive when Charlie and OJ were tucked in the alcove waiting, stalking Nicole? There's two versions of the story that's been told. Okay? Because they don't want to say too much. They're trying to keep you like... Anyway, Charlie and OJ go to 875 Bundy, which is Nicole's place. Ron Goldman eventually either shows up or he's there. They're talking. They pounce on them. What's going on? Fight ensues. A near witness hears, hey, hey, hey. They hear the murder starting, the fighting. This guy, Robert Heitstra, hears them. Okay? Within about 7 minutes, they murder two people. Okay? They strip their clothes, most of their clothes in the back. They go out the back way, the back alley. That's where the Broncos parked. They escape back to Rockingham. They do a couple of maneuvers back there. Charlie parks the Bronco. OJ gets dropped off. That's why they never saw the Bronco. They never could figure out. The limo driver kept saying, I never saw the Bronco at Rockingham. I never saw it. Even when I pulled up, it wasn't there. When I drove out, it wasn't there. And they said, that's impossible. OJ is there. You're with OJ. Yeah, with OJ, but it's not there. Charlie Ehrlich actually parks the Bronco.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that fits.
And well, yeah. And so OJ gets away. Charlie then parks the Bronco. He gets away with the bloody clothes, the knives, and the shoes. That's why they never find that.
Okay.
Takes that stuff to his safe house, whatever you want to call it. Gets rid of all the evidence. No one ever hears Charlie Ehrlich's name for 25 years. They say Joey's name in books, in stories. Guys came forward. The mob's involved. People are like, yeah, whatever. A guy wrote a book called Virtual Government. Inside there's a chapter about the Florida Hollywood connection of the mafia. And so to tie that mafia connection is Joey Ippolito is a kingpin working for Meyer Lansky under the umbrella in Miami through them. Okay. His father was a big mob guy too, with Sam the plumber. That's the De Cavalcante crime family. They were close with Meyer. Okay. And so that's how that all ties together, right? The mob, the drugs, the coke. Ehrlich goes, enforcer for Ippolito. He's collecting the money. And they catch 2 bodies. And that creates the greatest murder case in our modern history. And it creates the trial of the century.
Okay. And obviously OJ can't come clean. He's just got to deny it.
If he says Ehrlich's name, it means he's guilty too. Right? Because if he flips him, at one point they said they thought he was going to flip Ehrlich. And then supposedly I had a source come forward. Someone who was supposedly close to the defense team said that Ippolito threatened to murder OJ's kids.
Okay, so
and murder OJ Simpson in jail, which would take 1 second.
So then at some point OJ. So I mean, obviously there's the trial. Mm-hmm. There's what's the detective's name?
Mark Furman.
Potentially plants evidence. Mm-hmm. And they can't find certain items. Like, OJ somehow gets rid of the clothes, the shoes, all that stuff, but somehow keeps the gloves that don't fit. Mm-hmm. Cato hears him jump the fence, the whole thing, right? So he ends up, does the jumps in the limo and goes to, I forget what state he went to, and then he's contacted and told that Nicole is dead. There's some cuts on his hands. He comes back to California, and there's the slow speed chase in the Bronco. They arrest him, and then there's a trial. Mm-hmm. So after the trial, he's found not guilty. So at what point? So then when was was it NBC News or someone who paid him like $1 million to do that interview where if I had done an interview?
Fox.
Okay.
And basically, Fox will deny this. So HarperCollins was owned by Fox. HarperCollins and Judith Regan advanced OJ over $500,000 to write a book called If I Did It. That's 12 years later because it's 2006. So he waits 12 years to do that story and interview.
Which he does, but then they get pressure not to put it out.
And then the Goldmans end up owning the book because the judge gives Fred Goldman the book. Because OJ's trying to weasel his way to get paid money when he has a $33 million lien over his head. Right? So they sniffed that out. Rupert Murdoch fires Judith Regan for doing the interview. He didn't even know what was going on, really. They shelved the book for a minute. They shelved the interview till 2018 for another 12 years. No one sees that interview. When he's saying, Charlie brought the knife. Charlie followed this guy in. This guy, Charlie, showed up. Who's Charlie?
Right.
And nobody saw it for 12 years. So It's Fox HarperCollins, because they own the interview too. It's Fox.
So at some point, this guy. So at some point, what happens with Charlie? What does Charlie write? Did you say he writes a book? What was he? Or he does? He's trying to sell his life rights.
He's quiet for years. He's hush hush till 27. Right. So remember the Vegas robbery when OJ got pinched for the memorabilia robbery in Vegas in 2007? Yes. Ehrlich's with him. Ehrlich gets pinched too. There's two Charlies. Okay. There's a Charles Cashmore and there's a Charles Ehrlich.
Okay.
If people put it together one and one, if they use their brain for a minute, all these journalists and investigators on the greatest murder case of our time, they would have figured out that OJ said there was a guy named Charlie with him in his book. Why are there two Charlies with him in Vegas at the Vegas robbery? Is one of those Charlies him? And if you did some digging and you ran Ehrlich's dossier, you would have saw that he's a 5-time convicted felon. And you would have saw that he worked for Joey Ippolito. And you would have saw that Joey Ippolito employed Al Cowlings. And there's your connection to O.J. Simpson. It could have been solved. Yeah, that's what's fascinating too, about how everybody missed. So Ehrlich goes silent, right? He doesn't talk to O.J. for 5 years after the murders. They don't talk at all. And if you notice where O.J. moved, where did O.J. move to? Miami, Florida. Where is Charlie? Miami, Florida. They link back up. Now they're trying to do a podcast. They had a reality show. There was a porno. OJ was going to be in a porno. They're trying to monetize all this stuff. OJ gets like his door kicked in for ecstasy dealing. The FBI shows up at his house. I guarantee Ehrlich's involved in that. Guaranteed. Okay. So Ehrlich is quiet. Now he almost goes to jail. He has to pay like $200,000 to get off. He has to borrow money from a family member. This is what he says. And now he hates OJ. He's mad at OJ. OJ made him go to Vegas. He made him. He hung it over his head. There's no statute of limitations on double murder. Hate to see things break down for you, Charlie. You ready to go to the hotel room? That's all laid out in the script. He talks about how his emotions are like, this effing guy, dude. This guy's got me like forever. So he decides he's going to come forward and he's going to rat OJ out without trying to rat himself out and make a little money and maybe cleanse his soul a little bit. So in 2017, he has a close friend of his go to the producer and say, my friend wants to tell you a story. And that's how they met in Vegas.
Okay. And then that producer contacts you.
That producer, through a friend of mine comes to me and goes, I know this guy. I think you should meet him. You guys are kind of similar, ambitious, movie, TV, bright guys. It was kind of like a meeting of the minds. They wanted me to meet this guy. So we had a mutual friend. That's how I met the producer.
Okay. So I have a question. Has OJ ever heard any of this?
Heard what?
That this is coming out, that there's podcasts that okay.
I have a text from OJ.
Okay. What was that? How'd that happen?
So basically, it's hard to say this. A guy went to OJ and said, about Chris Todd? I have it. It's in my phone. I can send it to you if you want to post it. I don't care. You can show it. A guy went to him and said, I'm going to debate this guy, Chris Todd. I think he's full of crap. Okay. Calls him Juice. Hey, Juice. He's a big fan of OJ. OJ actually writes back very briefly and says, I don't know Chris. My team does. So what he's saying is he knows who I am, right?
Yeah, he's heard of you.
But he's trying to say, I don't know him because he doesn't want me to beat him. He's a narcissist. He's angry. I tried to golf with him. I know a couple of his people. They called me a bunch of names. They called me crazy. Said, nobody wants to talk to you. You're a crazy man. Okay, no problem. Let me golf with OJ. Let me deal with greatness because I'm going to beat you. I already beat you, right? So that's what I tried to do. Anyway, and then he goes, Juice, give me something substantial that proves you weren't there and you don't know Ehrlich or Ehrlich wasn't there too, and OJ never writes back. Okay? So OJ never tells him anything. He never gives him anything. And I actually have the text. I got it from somebody. So,
right.
Yeah, it was on Twitter. It's like in a Twitter message.
Yeah, a lot of it, like you've got all these pictures that you've sent me. So obviously that's Nicole.
Very young Nicole.
Right. And who's this?
That's a young Nicole with her best friend at the time, David Laban.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is okay. And then we've got,
Roddy.
Ron. Yeah. Who's this?
That's Joey Ippolito.
Okay. That's Joey Ippolito.
His wife, I won't say her name. That's Don Aronow. Works for Meyer Lansky. He was best friends with George Bush.
And Don Aronow was murdered.
Murdered in 1987. He created the cigarette speedboat.
Right. He was murdered by Bobby Young, right? Robert Young.
It wasn't Bobby.
Well, he went to prison for it.
No, I know, but this is the mob. This is
okay.
That's Ben Kramer. That's my guy. This guy's the best. That's Ben Kramer.
Ben Kramer's. He's the one who tried to escape in the helicopter.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
It was a great story. And he went to jail for life for weed. For life. He's one of the only people ever.
No.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. One of the first people to, right?
That's Joey Ippolito. Later, before he dies. That's right before he dies. That's Nicole's sister, Denise Brown, dating a mafia killer named Tony the Animal Fiato. That's kind of weird, huh?
So weird.
That's Charlie Ehrlich. A young Charlie Ehrlich.
And
that's Joey Ippolito.
Reporter links Simpson's friends.
Right.
Cowling to what?
To Joey Ippolito.
To escaped mobster. Okay.
Yep. So that's the published article. In 94. Yep.
Okay.
It's like a hint, like a clue.
Yeah, you've got tons of pictures. Like there's tons of
Joey. That's Joey in Miami.
Yeah, this is the speedboat, right? They're racing.
They used to race in the day and smuggle at night.
Yeah. Speed kills.
Speed kills. That's the Don Aronow story.
Yeah. I read the book in prison.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
They made the movie. John Travolta plays Don Aronow. They changed his name, and Kellen Lutz plays Ben Kramer. They call him Robbie Reamer. They changed his name. So that's it. All ties, man. It's all. A guy taught me this too with the mob stuff, and even some of the kind of Hollywood drugs and sexploitation. It all connects. They all connect together. They all have like 1 degree separation. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's fascinating. Yeah. It's the elites. It's kind of like celebrities, right? There's not that many celebrities. So when you say Joey had parties at Turnberry Isle and Don Aronow was there and Don Sofer, who created Turnberry Isle, Aventura, he was mob. Okay. They called him after Don Aronow was murdered. Don Sofer got a call and said, "You're next." And he skipped town for 2 days. And guess who's in OJ's suicide letter? Don Sofer. Why? Why does he know him? Why does he know B. Wayne Hughes? These are all billionaire playboys that used to golf at Aventura. And Paul, what's her name? Donna Rice, Gary Hart, mob, set up. So she worked for Don Sofer. She worked at friggin' Turnberry Isle.
So how does this whole thing play out? What's happening now? What is what's the goal now?
Now is to let it ride and see what happens. I have a couple new people I'm talking to. I'm glad that I was able to talk to you. I tried to come to you before, and it's hard to get people. You guys are busy. You're kind of famous people. So I'm just trying to spread the word.
Right.
No, you do big stuff, man. You got big guests on your show. I mean, your it's good. So Someone obviously needs to pick it up in the media, like the mainstream media. Somebody's got to step in, like an ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, whatever. I'm not them. I can't do that. I can write the books all day long, and I can have Jeff Bezos let me exercise my freedom of speech. I don't sell that many books, a couple hundred copies every other month, a couple hundred go out. Like, it's not like a ton of books are sold. And so, the Miami New Times article came out. Nobody banged on my door. Nobody banged on anybody's door. We had something done in the Gangster Report. That's online. Maybe people don't want the story. Part of me, I hem and haw about, like, if I keep talking about it, but nobody picks it up, maybe they don't want it. We don't know the public.
Well, why can't you do your own documentary?
I could do that. For me, like, doing like more YouTube stuff, I'm pretty much over that. Like, I like being interviewed. I like working with guys like you. I'd rather do that than make a documentary. That's for Hollywood to do. That's their job. They should do it. I could do it, but I don't feel like paying for it myself, A, and I don't feel like putting it in a black hole. There's 10 million videos a day on YouTube. Like,
there are some guys that, do these little kind of, they're very low budget, documentaries that they can do themselves. But they're pretty interesting. And I think, narrated by one of those guys, cut with an interview with you might end up being kind of compelling, and then there are guys that do.
I tried.
Have you ever talked to, and you've talked to Seth Ferrante? Like, his aren't really low budget, but they're.
I actually tried to get to Seth at one time a couple of years ago. I did write him. I never heard back. I don't know if you ever saw my email. I do know him. I did write him. I don't chase him now, but I'm all ears if somebody wants to talk to me. But I've already gone to everybody. I've gone to every production company. I've gone to every studio, every agent, everybody. They all know who I am. Like, go to any, you would be hard pressed to find somebody in Hollywood that has not heard about this story from me. It'd be almost impossible.
Did you see the OJ? So there was a documentary on Netflix, and I think it's the OJ murders. I forget what the name of it is, but it's done by, I want to say it's two detectives that
Norman Pardo. Wait. Okay, wait. There's a new one out called Blood, Lies, and Murder, which was on Reels, and now it's on Peacock. Are you talking about that one that just came out? Or are you talking about Norman Pardo's a couple of years ago called Who Killed Nicole?
No, this one came out maybe 6 months ago, less than 6 months ago.
That's Blood, Lies, and Murder with Tom Lang, the ex-detective, and Rod Engler, one of the forensic guys. Yes.
It's the first time I've really seen the brutality of that murder. Like, they show the real photographs and these two guys. So was I right? They were two detectives?
Oh, okay. Tom Lang's a detective. The other guy's like a forensic pathologist, crime scene investigator, reenactor, Rod Engler. I know both. I know Rod Engler. So,
well, they do a great job kind of slowly, cutting up, dismantling the entire crime scene.
The only problem is they're wrong.
Well, I understand that.
Completely wrong. Yeah.
I understand that. But I'm saying the guy that did that, clearly, that was not that was not an extremely high budget film. You've got two guys that slowly go over. I mean, it was very well done, but they didn't do reenactments. They didn't interview 40 different people. They didn't fly all over the country. Right. Yeah. It was a very simple, how did this happen? What does the crime scene tell us? And they laid it out very slowly. Like, that seems like I know the guy that produced that. I could put you in touch with him.
You're talking about, are they from Canada, the company?
They might be.
I think they are. Does their company start with a B?
I'm not sure, but you know how many production companies
I know the guys. I already went to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be hard. I know. I already went to them. There's two guys. They're from Canada. I won't say their production company name. They were cool. We did a couple calls. They had already made the OJ thing. I said, hey, if you really want to go for the Grand Slam, I'll give you all the Ehrlich stuff. and why don't you show there's an accomplice? Tom Lang wouldn't let him do it because Tom Lang's a fraud. Okay. He messed up the case from day one. He runs his mouth. He can't shut up. He keeps talking about the case. There's nobody else at the murder scene. Yes, there is, Tom. Wake up. Same with Rod Engler. I had Rod Engler send me a rude message. Okay. Trying to debate me. Come debate me then. Where are you at? Let's do it. They're cowards. They're frauds. Okay. 2 people killed Ron and Nicole. And the funny part, you know what the best part is? When Rod Engler and Tom Lang are going through the Bronco, they start making up stuff about why there's blood on the passenger seat. Why is there blood on the passenger floorboard? Why is there blood on the passenger door on the outside? Why? They just start whipping stuff up. Yeah, OJ came over here and he climbed over the seat. Oh, yeah, he climbed over the seat. What about if somebody else was there? Ever think of that part? Oh, the knife. He put the knife on the seat, and that's why there's blood. No. There's somebody sitting there, covered in blood. Those 2 guys are a joke, and I'm sorry to be rude about it. This is part of my deal too, man. I challenge people. So those producers, they did their thing cool. There's no market for OJ. You know, we had a really hard time selling it to Reels. It started at Reels. Then it went to Peacock. Okay. So they keep talking about OJ. The 30th anniversary is coming up. Good for you. Like, cool. Why are you censoring the murder accomplice story? So we'll see. They're doing another one. I won't say the company's name. They're a big production company. They're going to do a special. I went to them. I offered them. I have the discovery file from the case. Nobody's ever seen it. I have a living artifact in true crime history, and they didn't want it. They're going to interview Denise and Tanya and Kato Kalin and the Goldmans, and they're all going to tell the same story they told for 30 years. It's a joke, man. It's borderline pathetic. Just, I'm going to say it that way.
Okay, so and so your hope for this is what? What's going? What to get somebody a movie made?
Somebody take it over from me. Someone with power and clout. Somebody take what I have. I can bring you the tape from the other producers. Go to them, cut a deal with them, play the whole tape. I don't have the whole tape. Play the whole 20-hour tape about the mafia, about his life in the mob, how he grew up, how his, do the Goodfellas, go make the movie, and I'll sit back and I'll get popcorn and I'll be the first one to buy it on freaking Netflix. You know what I mean? Like, somebody do something. I can't do it myself. I've already tried. I can't keep trying. So it's like, and maybe someday, look, I'm not saying never. If Charlie dies tomorrow, if OJ dies tomorrow, maybe they'll come forward. Maybe they're waiting for them to die,
Right. Okay. I don't know anything else you're all right? Anything else you want to go over?
No, I'm just watching you're getting your gears.
You're like
this guy's the media. This Matt Cox guy. Like, can I say something? Can I put out a mini challenge to some of your people?
Sure.
Patrick Bet David, have me on your show. I tried to tell you the story. Why don't you let me tell the story on your show? There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like
I met Patrick. I talked to Patrick Bet David. He had interest in this a couple of years ago. And his people call me like once in a blue moon, they'll call me up. But I guess they don't like me anymore. They're afraid of the story. They won't let me come on the show anymore. They wanted to fly me out. They were going to buy me a plane ticket a couple of years ago. I didn't go. I didn't have all the stuff really I had today. So my message is, Patrick Bet David, I'd love to come on your show and tell the story.
I mean, I would love to think that Patrick Bet David watches my stuff.
Well, he interviewed you. Yeah.
He did, but I don't think he's got the time to. And when he interviewed, he was in Texas. He's now in South Florida.
I know. Right where Ehrlich is.
Yeah, he could maybe he could put something together. I was going to say, I wrote a book called Bailout, and I had a guy take it and turn it into like an hour-long documentary. documentary on his channel, and he went through, kind of systematically and, broke down the story.
Cool.
And he's got a YouTube channel. It's, I don't know how many views that got. But, and the other guy who does this is like Chad Marks. He'll take stories and kind of break them down. Listen, there's tons of these guys, and they just kind of read off what's going on in the case, and then they show, B-roll and,
I'm all ears. I mean, if they want to come to me, you want to refer me to some, I'm all ears. You have my email, you have my number. They can contact me. I'm just, I'm just not going to chase anybody. I have the content. I'm holding the golden egg. They should be coming to me. Okay. And I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I've chased everybody for 7 years. I'm done. I came to you because I'm more looking for podcasters, hosts. I'm trying to tell the story to people that have a platform, that do crime stories. That's why, I did, the mob guy in the East Coast. I don't want to say people's names, but I did something on the East Coast. I did a recent one. I do Cinemills TV.
Michael Franzese.
What's that? I tried to go to Mike Franzese. He ignored me. I tried.
He's busy.
Yeah, I went to Sammy the Bull. I went to John A. Light. I had some brief conversations. Look, those guys are entrenched in their story. Okay.
Yeah.
If it doesn't involve their world, I get it. Those guys are very, I don't know what the word is. They're very centered on themselves. Okay. I'm saying that in kind of a nice way. Okay. If it's not about them, they're not interested. You are a host. You are showing other people's stories. That's why I think you were interested when I first contacted you. That's what you're doing. Like what Patrick Bet-David does. Like what Vlad TV does. He won't let me on. I issue a challenge to Vlad. Why won't you let me on your show? You had Bodden on there. You had Kato Kalin. You have this infatuation with O.J. Simpson. Why won't you tell the truth?
Well, I was going to say, like with me, you had to reach back out. Like, I mean, I get so many inquiries that, that there are times when I'll literally be sitting someplace and we'll be talking with someone and suddenly I'll be like, oh my God, this guy, it'll spark something. And I'll think, months ago, somebody contacted me with it, but I'm reading 5 and 6 of these, a day. That's probably an exaggeration. Either way, it's several a day, and you have to sift through like, okay, this isn't really a story. And I always felt bad. Like sometimes I'll talk to somebody on the phone and just say, hey, listen, like, no offense, you don't really have a story. I mean, you have a story, but it's not worth doing a 2-hour podcast on.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, I get written back by, Patrick Bet-David's team wrote me back. I talked to Patrick a couple times. Vlad's written me back. I've texted back and forth. He censors the story, period. I don't care what people say. They're censoring the story. I'm not like accusing them. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter what their name is. If I come to you with the biggest crime story and pop culture story that's important and you're a journalist and you don't do it, that's censorship. I have this debate all the time. They'll say, well, it's just not up my alley. Okay, we'll give you a little out. It's not your genre, but the story affects us all. We all live this. Right. And when OJ said, oh, I have prostate cancer, why did ABC tell that story? Why? Did ABC vet that he had prostate cancer? Did you get his medical records? No, you didn't. So why are you telling a story about OJ? Because he said it on his Twitter feed? Why are you following OJ Simpson? He murdered 2 people. He's a double murderer who defrauded our country. So why is NBC telling the story about OJ talking about running backs need better contracts? I thought you don't want OJ. When I came to you, you called me a bunch of names. So why are you talking about OJ? You see my point? It's like, are you a news outlet or are you a tabloid? What are you? And that's where, look, I'm not a huge Donald Trump guy. I use this example a lot. Our president at the time, who's probably going to be our next president again, called the media fake news. Think about that. Our president, the highest status in our country, the commander-in-chief, called NBC fake. Okay. So, and I've seen it too with this. I'm like, why are they blocking? Well, they're not blocking. We're not blocking the story. We just, we need to vet this. Vet what? giving you the tape segments, the written version. Do you know what I had to do to get that stuff? They didn't give it to me. Okay? People had to whistleblow on them. So that's my thing. The real one I call out is the LA Times. They're a fraud. They have blocked me for years. They're a joke. I could name their names. I won't name them. But LAAP Press, fraud. It's really like, it's almost baffling to me. So my new trip is the censorship. I already know what I have with OJ and Ehrlich. I've watched the trial twice. I have all the evidence. I have all the witnesses. I have things that make your head spin. I have articles that nobody's ever seen, pieces of evidence from LAPD themselves. I have stuff you couldn't even, I have the discovery file. No one even knows how I got that. So.
Just like a black bag job? Did you have to break in a place? You kind of like a Mission Impossible thing?
I can't say that.
Right, I understand.
Like a flyer come down, like no.
Yeah, exactly. Done.
Let's just say other people were courageous to whistleblow. Let's just say that, okay? And I needed help. But my point is, my real trip now is the censorship, our media. I'm obsessed with why the media blocks me. If I was to talk about OJ, that's like over lunch, secondhand. Don't even care. I want to know why you at ABC are blocking me from telling the story. You let other people tell fake stories. Jason Simpson did it. Discovery ID did a thing with Bill Deere, paid him $300,000 for a fake story. The Sun did it. And here's the evidence. Here's the knife. He pulls out this fake knife. Like, it's just, like, why are you doing fake stories? Why don't you just tell the real story?
All right. Well, listen, let me get you, let me set you up with some other true crime guys that,
I appreciate it. I do. I really appreciate it. Maybe you can help.
And I'll contact that guy that did he did like a little mini doc on one of the stories that I have.
I'll check that out. I want to see that.
That Jeff Bezos chose not to have on his platform.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because the real guy, like, I put the book up, man, it started selling. Like, I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I put it up the same time I did a podcast on it. So it was doing great for about 6 weeks. And he sent a cease and desist order.
Why?
Or whatever it was to Amazon. Well, because I had written the story.
The guy you wrote about.
I wrote a story with him in prison.
Okay.
About his story. When I was done, he didn't like the story. But the story is 100% accurate. And I mean, and listen, I did a great, no offense, I did a great job. It's a great book. It's one of the better books I've ever written. I mean, I really did a great job. So, and it was selling great. And he managed to get Amazon to take it down.
Wow.
Which is really almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And I went and hired an attorney. The attorney could, he went back and forth with their attorneys a little bit. And when they asked for us to provide all of the documentation, and we did, they just stopped responding. Really? So he was like, at this point, we're going to have to file a lawsuit. And I was like, fuck, like, I don't want to have to file a lawsuit. I got like 6 other books up there. So I put it on another platform. It's on Barnes and Nobles now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's on like Goodread and a bunch of other ones.
So Amazon shut down because this guy complained, almost like a copyright strike with YouTube.
Correct. But the guy's a complete, first of all, the problem is the book says he's a pathological liar. And it's not just me, like the federal government had him speak with like a psychiatrist who said he's a pathological, he's a habitual liar. Every one of his victims says he's a pathological liar. His wife says he's a pathological liar. Like, and the problem is that I wrote a whole book about, surrounded by art, my experience with him in prison and telling his story and what really happened. He flipped out. And then what does he do? He writes this complete, bullshit, I don't even know this guy. He was like, what you're like, I have a contract with you. I have signed documents with you. I have, and we show, and I own the story. I have a copyright,
Wow.
So we send all that to their lawyer. They're like, you need to have this and this and this, none of which I have to have, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't need any of it. The guy's he's a public figure. He was arrested for this. I have all the documents. I have all the, I have a Freedom of Information Act from all the different departments. I have his transcripts, everything. And so I vetted everything. So we send them everything that they say we have to have, which we don't. And as soon as they see, oh, wow, he does every single thing we asked for, he's got. They just decided just stop responding.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting for Amazon to do that because they put up. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like, yeah, because my stuff's, I have a few books up there too, but yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure yeah, you could take it to a publisher too. And maybe you could get it published for real, like through a real publisher too.
But when I initially started to do it, I was in prison. And so I sent it to a few publishers and, you know, all of them were like super interesting, but you know what I'm saying? This guy's incarcerated. So then when I got out and I started self-publishing, it was so much easier and faster and more lucrative.
Oh, good. That's good.
Listen, like you're not going to make, you know, like I've gotten book deals when I was incarcerated, you know, I got a $3,500 advance. And then every 6 months I get a check for $112, $54.
Right.
But, you know, you put it on Amazon and it starts selling.
Yeah.
And you can make, it may not be, $10,000 a month, but sometimes it's $1,100, $1,200. Sometimes it's $600. It depends on how many podcasts you go on.
Right. Yeah.
And then you can also do Audible. Audible's about half of what I make on Amazon.
Okay.
So if you make $1,000 for your book on Amazon, you're going to make another $500 on Audible.
Okay. Nice.
You might want to think about that. Reading your book, or narrating your entire book.
I have one on YouTube. I actually made an audio book on YouTube. I put it up there. So,
I was thinking Audible.
Yeah, of course.
So, okay, I will get you. I'll text you all the names of all these guys, and I track down the one guy that did the documentary. And let's see, and I'll put the links up for your book. We'll put the links in. So, hey, you guys, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you like the video, hit the bell so you get notified. So I'm going to put the link for Chris's O.J. Simpson murder accomplice story. The link will be in the description box. Please check it out. Also, do me a favor, consider joining my Patreon. And also, I have a Clips channel, which is not doing well. So please subscribe to my Clips channel. I have broken up almost all the in-person videos in the last 6 months, and we've been breaking them up into clips. So there's a bunch of cool clips. So you don't have to watch the whole hour or 2 hours. You can watch the in-person clips. Really appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Thank you very much. See ya.